guys, welcome back to Cyberspace Investigations. From Software's first Souls game, Demon's Souls, is probably one of the most influential games of the 7th generation. Not so much for its influence when it came out, but more what it spawned with the Dark Souls series later down the line. But we're not here to talk about that. Now, you may be wondering why I'm only reviewing the first 6 hours of this game. Well, it's because I'm really bad at Souls games. Demon's Souls is fantastic in the graphics department. This is a premiere game for the PS5, so of course it's gonna be beautiful. The detail on all the textures is unreal, and with little to no ray tracing, all these fantastic visuals can be viewed at a smooth and constant 60 FPS. It really helps in a game like this where reaction times are absolutely key. What about those reactions? Well, that brings us to the game's combat. All Souls games have expansive, impressive lineups of weapons, character building and customization, and armor and items. Starting with weapons. One of the things that the combat gets right with every swing is the weight. Each weapon has its own weight not only in value but in animation and practice. Faster weapons will allow for more dodging, which takes up stamina. That leads into a stamina build, in which combat for your character is based more on dodging than blocking, something that also feels amazing. I personally use a one-handed axe and shield. This allows for the most agile performance in terms of dodging while also having, a shield for blocking. When I used a magic-based class, there was a significant difference in the playstyle and speed of the combat, something I was very, very impressed by. Two-handed weapons also allow for slower but more powerful combat. With that, it's a give-and-take scenario. No guarding means you gotta be good at dodging, yet each weapon and armor piece contribute to your weight limit. And unlike something like Ark Survival Evolved, where you don't really slow down until your weight limit gets hit, every single pound seems to count in Demon's Souls. This makes inventory management yet another important factor to think about when planning your loadout. Personally, I also take a bow with me to take out some long-range enemies, though I think its usefulness isn't really far-reaching, at least in these early stages. One of the most infamous parts of any Souls game is its difficulty. Demon's Souls being the first one, it has a bit of a different structure, but that doesn't mean it's the hardest or the easiest. I think it's much less forgiving than what I've seen of future Souls games with the way that it's structured. The game does a little bit of a fake out with its difficulty right at the beginning, with all the enemies up to the first boss being pretty easy to kill, but then the boss just absolutely demolishes you. This brings us to one of the more unique aspects of Demon's Souls, souls. After getting killed, your character is turned into soul form, where they'll be staying until beating another boss. This form has half health, and every time you die and turn into soul form, the difficulty of the area you died in raises slightly. Fortunately, that doesn't happen when death occurs in soul form. However, turning back into human form isn't so simple. Obviously, you can beat a boss, however there are limited numbers of them, so what's another way? Well, this brings me to the online. Connect to someone else's world and enter as a soul-type character. Killing the player, who should theoretically be in human form, will afford you their soul and therefore let you gain your human form back. Souls themselves are more of a form of currency. The story goes that a mysterious fog turned most of the inhabitants of this kingdom into a bunch of demons. These demons all absorb the souls of those they kill, and in turn we absorb those souls and spend them with this one lady to upgrade your stats. This is where the game really opens up. After beating the first boss, all levels are open as well as the upgrades and shops. Having your soul back helps getting farther much easier and nice, as being able to take a couple more hits leaves room for a little error, for now. Bosses will absolutely demolish you. Phalanx, the first boss, is pretty simple but tricky. Past that, they get much harder unless you know exactly what to do. That fear of harder bosses is what kept me locked in a mental state of grinding for a good 3 to 4 hours. I'm not completely sure if it's really helping or not, but I think it's made the experience slightly more enjoyable. However, much as I praised the combat system earlier, this was from an objective point of view. From my own stance, I went into this wrongly expecting something closer to a 3D Zelda combat experience than a Souls game. I would have figured that out and not gotten it if that were the case, but here we are. With a game that has this level of difficulty, a much more combat system is needed to keep my attention. Since this isn't my thing as much as I thought it would be, the grinding didn't keep my engagement either. Even going to new levels didn't amount to much because they all had similar color palettes, with this dark gray tone taking over much of the game. This is what led me to only play about 7 hours of Demon's Souls. Something with extreme difficulty that has a gameplay I'm much more interested in could hold my attention for longer. Something like Returnal, maybe. I think I enjoyed my time with Demon's Souls, but I can't truly tell if I did. As if I did, wouldn't I want to come back and play more? The crushing difficulty is really the deal breaker for me here. I can't get through a lot of parts of the game, and especially after recording gameplay for this episode, I've lost my humanity, and now I am at half health again, and I've just lost any sort of motivation to even come back and try to play this game, as it's so unforgiving that it's just not fun. Even games that are also in a similar vein, like Returnal or a roguelike, have certain elements that allow you to keep coming back, and at least Returnal, despite it being extremely hard and probably harder than Demon's Souls in a lot of respects, doesn't take away half your health bar when you die until you beat a boss. So at least that's something. But here, I just can't recommend this to anybody who's not willing to die and retry hundreds of times to get through trial and error sections to unlock more areas. Well, that's all I've got for this one, so see you guys next week for another great program.